Fred Vasseur just dropped something so explosive, so brutally honest, it tore the lid off the chaos simmering inside Ferrari all season. After days of speculation, frustration, and silence, the team principal finally stepped out of the shadows, and what he said about Hamilton and the radio chatter during the Canadian Grand Prix stunned the entire paddock. This isn't just another vague PR statement. It's confirmation from the top that what we all heard on the team radios was real, serious, and far more damaging than Ferrari ever wanted to admit. The leaked radio messages were already making waves. Hamilton, confused and furious about unexplained car issues. Leclerc, openly questioning strategy calls mid-race. Both drivers sounded completely disconnected from the pit wall. And now, Vasseur has stepped forward and admitted the Canadian Grand Prix was a total collapse. From Leclerc's crash in free practice 1, to disastrous qualifying, to car damage and bad strategy calls on race day. The weekend was a perfect storm of errors. But the most revealing part? Vasseur didn't try to sugarcoat it. He openly acknowledged the mistakes, admitted the communication failures, and pointed to the pressure building not just in the garage, but in Ferrari's very culture of race execution. His comments confirmed what fans and insiders have been whispering for weeks. The atmosphere inside Ferrari is tense, reactive, and unstable. Vasseur even went as far as saying the team is making too many mistakes. The drivers are under too much pressure, and calm is desperately needed. But with Hamilton and Leclerc now openly frustrated, that calm seems further away than ever. So, what exactly did Vasseur reveal? Just how bad is the internal situation at Ferrari? What were the full stories behind those shocking radio messages? And can this team pull itself together before the season slips completely through their fingers? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick with us until the end, because what you're about to uncover about Vasseur, Hamilton, and Ferrari's implosion in Canada changes everything. The chaos that erupted on race day had been quietly building all weekend. It started with a critical setback, Charles Leclerc's crash in free practice 1, leaving Ferrari gathering data with only one car. For a team trying to challenge Red Bull and McLaren at the top, that's not just a hiccup, it's a strategic nightmare. And things didn't improve from there. On Saturday, during Q3, Leclerc was flying. He set the fastest first sector of anyone, but then, inexplicably, he slowed down. Why? Because he got stuck in traffic and Ferrari hadn't warned him. It was a communication breakdown, a basic error at the worst possible moment. That mistake cost Leclerc dearly. It cost Ferrari track position, and it set the tone for what would become a train wreck of Sunday. Then came the race, and with it, a meltdown of monumental proportions. Lewis Hamilton, starting ahead of Leclerc, should have been Ferrari's spearhead. But instead of charging forward, he was immediately hit by a mysterious lack of performance. Mid-race, his engineer, Riccardo Adami, sent a chilling message saying, "We're seeing a loss of downforce in the car, or maybe damage, possibly 20 points missing." Hamilton, already grappling with an unstable rear, responded with growing confusion and frustration. "Is this a rear downforce loss?" he asked, clearly trying to make sense of what was happening beneath him. The response? It's fairly balanced. That moment alone spoke volumes. Hamilton was describing a car that was borderline undrivable. Rear instability, braking inconsistency, power loss. And yet the pit wall was telling him everything looked fine. The disconnect was staggering. What followed was a sequence of radio messages that made global headlines. "Why is this car so slow?" Hamilton asked, exasperated. "No power, no pace, guys." This wasn't just a complaint. It was the sound of a champion realizing the car he'd been given wasn't fit to compete. And when the team told him he was 25 seconds behind, he erupted. "Where did I lose 25 seconds?" His tone was stunned, almost sarcastic. This wasn't about being outdriven or outraced. It was about being completely left in the dark. His message was clear. If Ferrari had a plan, they hadn't shared it with him. Meanwhile, Leclerc was locked in a strategic farce of his own. When told mid-race to switch to Plan B, he shot back sharply, "I think Plan C." Short, tense, suggestive of a driver who no longer trusted what was coming from the pit wall. Then came a flashpoint. Ferrari called him into the pits, and Leclerc exploded. "Why do we stop? Why do we stop?" he demanded. The response? "We're on plan B." Leclerc's retort was scathing. "Yeah, but I was just saying the tires were fine." That single line said it all. The pit wall had once again ignored their driver. Leclerc was managing his tires well, had clearly communicated he wanted to extend his stint, yet the team overrode him without listening. This wasn't just a tactical misstep, it was a breakdown in trust. And that's where Vasseur's post-race revelations hit like a thunderbolt. Speaking to Sky Sports F1, Vasseur didn't dodge. He didn't sugarcoat the disaster. He acknowledged the weekend was riddled with problems, too many to count. One car running in free practice one, poor communication in qualifying, a Sunday strategy that simply didn't work. It's too much for one weekend, he admitted. Coming from a team principal, that's an extraordinary admission. But what he said next was even more shocking. When asked about the pit stop strategy, Vasseur said, "Maybe a one-stop strategy could have worked, but we didn't know the possible tire life of the mediums." Let that sink in. Ferrari, one of the biggest, best-funded teams in Formula One, went into a Grand Prix not knowing how long their tires could last. They were guessing, mid-race, with a 7-time world champion and a generational talent in their cars. That's not just an operational failure, it's negligence. Vasseur tried to downplay the damage, insisting updates are coming soon and the team needs to focus on itself rather than panic. But his own words betrayed a deeper truth. "We didn't do a clean job this weekend," he said. And for Hamilton and Leclerc, that statement was just confirmation of what they'd been shouting over the radio. Leclerc and Hamilton weren't throwing tantrums. They were delivering clinical, calculated critiques of a team that simply wasn't performing. And now that Vasseur has publicly backed them, it's clear this wasn't just emotional outbursts. These were symptoms of a deeper problem. Ferrari's issues are no longer hidden. The radio messages exposed the chaos in real time. Vasseur's interview confirmed the team is aware and overwhelmed. And now the spotlight is blinding. The next Grand Prix won't just be about fighting Red Bull and McLaren. It'll be about proving Ferrari can hold itself together under pressure. Because if they can't, this dream partnership of Leclerc and Hamilton could turn into one of the biggest missed opportunities in Formula One history. Don't even think about looking away, because what happens next could redefine everything we thought we knew about this Ferrari project. The Canadian Grand Prix wasn't just a bad day at the office. It was a mirror held up to the team's very structure. The chaos, the baffling decisions, the complete lack of clarity, it all exposed cracks that go far beyond the drivers. What we're witnessing could well be the start of crisis, not just in results, but in the very identity of what Ferrari stands for. Precision, excellence, strategy, or confusion, missed chances, and internal disconnect. And here's the scary part. The storm isn't over. It's only just beginning. The pressure on Vasseur is now unlike anything he's faced since taking the role. The pressure on Leclerc is building as he watches his career drift further from the title he's dreamed of since childhood. And for Hamilton, who made the boldest move of his career joining Ferrari, the weight of expectation, frustration, and doubt grows heavier with every lap. With the next race fast approaching, every decision Ferrari makes from now on will be under a microscope. Fans, media, rival teams, everyone's watching. One more bad call, one more weekend like Montreal, and the backlash won't just be loud, it'll be deafening. There's no more room for Plan B confusion, no more shrugging off mistakes as growing pains. Ferrari has two of the most talented drivers on the grid, and if they can't give them a car that works, a strategy that makes sense, and a team that listens, the consequences will be severe. Because the reality is this: teams can recover from bad results. They can bounce back from technical setbacks. But once you lose the trust of your drivers, once they stop believing the team knows what it's doing, that's when the real collapse begins. And based on what we just heard on the radio and what Vasseur has now admitted to the world, that trust is hanging by a thread. So the real question isn't whether Ferrari can be fast, it's whether they can be smart. Can they rebuild unity? Can they tame the chaos, block out the noise, and deliver the performance and precision their history demands? Because if they can't, This won't be a championship challenge. It'll be a slow, public unraveling of one of Formula One's most anticipated projects. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates, because the next chapter in this story won't just shape Ferrari's future, it could redefine the sport.